रुकेगा इधर लगा दे, उधर हिट लगा दे, आएगी बस। अब उधर उधर ऐसे नहीं।
So, how many of you had a dream, like you wanted to be a painter or an astronaut or a dancer when you were a kid? So, how many of you had such kind of dreams? So, look where you are now, sitting here in this auditorium, suited up. But at least few of them pursue these dreams as a hobby. So, how many of such? How many are there? See, very less compared to before. So why? What stopped you from pursuing your dreams or your hobbies, passions? Less calm. Okay, cool. Okay. Do you think you're creative? So define creative, anyone? Okay. So many, when I say creative, are you creative? Or when I ask them, do you think you are creative? Many say no, or many say yes, depending on their belief for creativity. Some say, yeah, I paint, I draw, so I'm creative. Some say, no, I just study, I'm not much creative. So this is one myth that I want to debunk. Creativity is not just about art. You can be creative in each and every stream, any role or whatever field you can be creative in it. This is one thing that I want to talk about. How many of you are Pink Floyd fans here? Pink Floyd fans here. I like you guys. There is a video for you. Watch this.
No education. We don't need no thought control. No dark sarcasm in the classroom.
So this is a song written by Roger Waters some 39 years ago. Here he talks about a wall built around him, made of education system, which is prohibiting him from pursuing his creative thoughts, and how it is affecting everyone. This is 39 years ago. Do you think you have a wall? How many of you think that you have a wall that's prohibiting you from pursuing your creative thoughts? See, that's you. So what has caused this? What do you think has caused this? Why is our system like this, and why are we like this? Do you blame the education system? Are the expectation of the society? So, my friends and dear professor, today we are going to talk about this very important topic: how education or the education system is educating the people out of their creative minds. They are shaping our thoughts, they are shaping our minds and our very own original ideas into a box, package, product, and delivering it to the society. Now I would like to invite Arpit to further take this discussion further.
Hello everyone, my name is Arpit. So I'll introduce you with the education system we had in the past and the current education system. How our education system evolved through period. So in ancient times we had ashrams and gurukuls. There the gurus tried to teach the students with the help of task They tried to build the character of the students, and they tried to bring out the creativity among the students. They try to bring out the creative thinking and approach of the students, how they approach a certain problem, or how they approach a certain problem. So in those times, the students have to leave their homes and be at the gurukuls to study. So the gurus gave them tasks, and there was not a set framework through which the student have to think. The student can think in any possible way, and there the creativity in the student comes out. So in that way, in that period, the creativity of the students were creative. Then came the period in the early 7th century and 8th century, we had universities like Takshila and Nalanda. So in those universities, we had students coming from all around the globe to study, and these were the learning centers. So here the admission of the students was not on the basis of some examination. The admission of the students, the teachers selected the students based on their interest and their interest on a particular subject. So they just tested whether the student is capable to pursue that particular subject or not. He has that creative ability to pursue that subject or not. So that was the system in the ancient time. In Takshila, there was no system of examination. So when we don't have examination, we don't have any set framework or barrier. So the thing is, when we were in our primary school, so how many of you enjoyed studying history? Actually, I will tell my perception, like I don't used to like history because I have to give examinations after that. Because I have to give examination, I didn't like the subject. I just tried to cram up the subject and gave the examination. But after passing 10th or passing that period, I started developing interest in those historical things, and I like to study history now because I don't have to give examination. There is no set framework that I have to study this or that. There is no fixed curriculum or something that I have to pursue that thing. So when we have barriers, the creative thinking inside us dies. That's the thing. So then came the period of industrialization. So pre-industrialization, we didn't have public education. So there were the same system of private tutors or something. The education was not available to everyone, and people just go to the private tutors for certain studies. But post-industrialization, there was a huge demand of skilled labor. As we all know the concept of demand and supply, when the demand of skilled labor created because of the industrial revolution, there was the public education was established in the system. So we had large number of schools and colleges to cater the needs of skilled people. So that's the thing of in industrial revolution, and as a result of that mass production, the creativity inside us died actually, because because of the need of the industry, everyone was just preparing, or the institutes were preparing people according to the needs of the industry and not according to their creative will or creative thinking. So that's the thing, and the same system is continuing in the current time also. And till then we ask question about the education system, like why is it relevant in the current time? Like we are still studying the physics and mathematics which was in 17th century. So when these things are relevant or not, we are studying those things now also. So I would like to invite Rajlakshmi to further explain.
Let's just watch a video in the middle, okay?
Machine का definition बोलो. Sir, a machine is anything that reduces human effort, sir.
Will you please elaborate?
Sir, हर वो चीज़ जो इंसान का काम आसान करे या वक्त बचाए, वो मशीन है सर. गर्मी लगी, बटन दबाया, हवा चालू, फैन, मशीन है सर. मीलों दूर आप अपने दोस्त के साथ बात कर सकते हैं, टेलीफोन, मशीन है सर. करोड़ों का हिसाब चुटकी में करता है, कैलकुलेटर, मशीन है सर. सर, एक्चुअली हम मशीनों से घिरे हुए हैं सर. पेन की निब से लेके पैंट की जिप तक सब मशीन है सर.
एक सेकंड में अप, एक सेकंड में डाउन, अप डाउन, अप डाउन, अप डाउन. डेफिनेशन क्या है?
Okay. So, simple. Follow the standard and you're good to go. Defy it and you're in for a big beating. That, my dear friends, is Indian current education system in a nutshell. Okay. So, every child is creative. We all know that. And then we also know that slowly when he enters the education system, slowly and steadily he loses the creativity. Something again we agree upon, right? So, why is it so? Two words. Social obligation. A child who is 3 or 4 years old doesn't have the obligation to not fail. There is no boundary on his creativity. He can do whatever he wants to do, however he wants to do, whichever way he wants to do. But then we enter the education system of India. What happens is, again, two words. Rating system. Okay. So, this is basically how we define our education system. Get good grades and you're good. Do not get good grades and you're screwed. That's something which is ingrained in our mentality. So, even if you look at all these schools which, post these board exams and stuff, they come out with these ads. We just said, okay, this is the student from our school, he scored so-and-so marks in this so-and-so exam. So why do they do that? They know that parents get influenced by that. They know that if they see that, okay, this school has got good students coming out of it, in terms of course, they will send their kids to that, and they efficiently use it. Okay, that's something which is wrong with our system. So if you ask me, the two major defining aspects of Indian education system are these two things. A, CBSE boards or any other board exam. Why? 11-year-old might not know about important stuff like, let's say, global warming, or how he or his activities and his creativity and his innovation can help world become a better place. But he will definitely know about the board, and he'll definitely know that if he doesn't perform well in the board, he is screwed. Next thing, JEE. Why JEE is an important thing? Okay, now look at this particular ad over here. So it's a FIITJEE ad. Okay, it's not wrong, right, for some institute to come up and say that, you know what, you have a dream, we will promote it and we'll help you reach your dream college. There's no hampering of creativity in that. Let's accept that. But if this contains something like, okay, send your kid who is 11 or 12-year-old in 5th or 6th or 7th standard to us, I think there's something wrong with that, right? Science is such a good subject, there's so much scope for creativity, it's limitless. You can do so much of innovation, invention out of it. It actually helps us solve the problems of our life. It actually helps us advance as humanity. But then what do these institutes teach us? Come join us, we'll grant for 5 years, and then 6 years later, examination in college. Right now, we don't even know why you're trying for it. So that's fundamentally the problem with the system. And to think of it, I think there's too much standardization in our system right now. Too much standardization. We're all becoming like manufactured units. Like, that is why we're all coming out in batches, right? Like here we are sitting, the batch of 22. Now, why is it so? Because that's something fundamentally ingrained in us. Don't try to be creative. Our system basically prevents us by being creative by telling us that nothing else matters. What matters is marks. If you don't do well, you won't get good score, and log kya kahenge. Simple as that. So why would where is the motivation to be creative here? Why would a child feel that he should be creative when he knows that people are not going to judge him by that parameter? We are going to be judged only by one parameter, the scores we get. Even right now, you see, you got some scores 6 years before in some board exam, and right now, even during MBA, you are being asked, how much did you score in 10th? Simple. So I think this is a problem. And then, in spite of all of this, when companies come to hire in all these colleges, right, what do they want? Unique selling point. How are we supposed to provide a unique selling point to someone when the very first word, unique, doesn't exist in our dictionary? We are being fundamentally taught to not be unique. We are being told, don't be unique, be the same like the rest. Don't be differentiated. Simple. So now I'll hand over the mic to Nilesh.
Good evening, guys. So, by now we have established what creativity is. Creativity is the use of imagination and original ideas to do something. My friends have been going on and on about how the education system over here is killing the creativity in every student. But is that the case with every institute? I beg to differ. The best example for the same would be our own college, IIM Kozhikode. So, I have already pursued management in my undergraduation from one of the most prestigious colleges in Delhi University. And believe it or not, but I have studied almost all the subjects that we are being taught right now, including managerial communication. But the pedagogy that was used earlier and that is being used right now is very different. The pedagogy used right now promotes creativity in the mind of every student. You don't believe me? Well, when was the last time you gave an examination while listening to music, while writing the answer to a question which had no definitive answer. Every answer that you wrote was right or wrong depending upon your sense of creativity or your reasons. Even apart from that, the activity that we are undertaking right now at this moment promotes creativity at the mind of every individual. Let's not restrict ourselves just to managerial communication. Even in all the other subjects, we are being taught through case studies. Now these case studies, they never, almost never, I'd say, have a definitive answer. Again, it's left up to your own creativity to come up with an answer and be able to justify the same. But sadly, this is not the situation with every other high school and colleges across India. We represent a very small minority of institutes who have been able to transcend above the general education system of India. So what can be done about it? Is it enough, or can we move forward? Well, as sir rightly mentioned right now, there are a lot of places where we are still lacking, and there are a lot of things to be done. We can begin with, in high schools and colleges, we can start with restructuring of courses, changes in pedagogy, and I guess my friend Shubham will be a better person to answer all these questions. Thank you.
Okay, hello, am I audible now? Yeah, so thank you, Nilesh. So continuing to what Nilesh has been talking about, in IMK, we are fortunate enough to get this exposure, right? But what about the maximum majority in India, what's happening? So I think we should focus on a very basic level, the very basic stage, which is the primary education. Because here we see this kind of education system that we are able to be creative. But when we're already here, we think about this thinking, oh, it's something really unique. But at this point of time, when we've already made a mind in some direction, but we're not supposed to. So primary education is one stage where we need to really focus on. So, forgot the slides. So first thing, primary education. I forgot my mugged up thing. So my first solution would be, how can we actually fix it? So, like Mahatma Gandhi at least said, literacy is not the end of education, nor even the beginning. We need to first understand the difference between education and literacy. We often confuse ourselves, okay, if a person is educated, he's literate, is probably educated. Even I didn't know the meaning actually. I thought literacy and education mean the same. Like what is literacy? It's, a guy piled up with lots of books, and that is a real problem. What is education? Education can be anything. Like my friend discussed about this thing. Many of us are interested in dance, singing, everything, right? But we don't consider them as a point of education. We only focus on, okay, if you mug up this book, if you go through Kotler, you know marketing. If you're going through, I don't even know the name of the book, Pendick and the other one. If you go through the concept, then you're good at microeconomics. It's just limited to that only. Apart from that, coming back to this dancing and singing thing, what you were talking about, we don't have any books for that as such. I mean, we just have limited books, even in a library itself. I mean, obviously, you'll say, okay, MBA is more focused on just, management thing, but definitely these things are important as well. Even in a school, we didn't have any books for dancing. We don't have any such. That's what it is. So we need to understand the difference between literacy and education. Apart from that, see, this lady, Maria Montessori. She's an Italian lady. So in her name, she started this Montessori education system. So what is it all about? Currently, what system we are raised in, we have the teacher and the students. So the teacher comes up, with some topic in her mind. Not the case of IMK, it's entirely different. Normally, what you see, she comes up, okay, A equals to B, and what? B equals to C, and that is why C equals to A. And we go back to the classes. Are you getting bored? I hope not. So, and we write it down, and we just go back to our homes, and we're taught, okay, yeah, sir, because ma'am told her A equals to B, B equals to C, and it is supposed to be C equals to it. Maybe it was the case that maybe he thought of something like A can be greater than B, or X can be, maybe X comes up, but it didn't come up because he's limited to that A and B and C. So, and what this is about, it's like the role of teacher here is nothing but just observer. She just she's just observing thing, and the students are given certain objects, and just he has to be creative, and whatever he feels like, that is the real education system. I feel that should be incorporated in the system. I feel. Apart from that, education from parents, very common to hear, but we don't do that actually. Maybe we're gradually progressing. We need to focus on this as well. And apart from that, I won't just talk about how bad the system, how bad is this, blah blah blah. This is something that India is initiating as well. So one of the things is I really liked it. Like it was not during my time. It's self-explanatory. No CBSE kids. Sounds so awesome. I want to be in that school where it happens personally. So anyway, just because short of time, thank you, and we're open for questions.
Questions, comments, criticism?
See, one of you were criticizing IIM education and the other is supporting it. So, what do we take?
Okay. So, before ending up, I said it's not perfect. The college is giving us ample opportunity to be creative, but obviously there's a scope of improvement. Like sir also rightly said, there's a problem with time issues. Obviously, we have more time, we can devote it to creativity and to other issues. But it's not like we are not getting ample opportunities. We are getting ample opportunities, but there's obviously legions to go.
So, you are talking about case studies, but how creative can you be when you are dealing with cases? We are supposed to think in a certain way, manner. So, isn't it homogenizing the thought?
Even in terms of case studies, whenever a case study is given to you, you have certain reasons, but the solution is not given. None of the professors till now have said this is the right answer. Always say whatever answer you're giving, if you can justify out of your rational and creativity, will be the right answer. So it's completely upon you how you tackle the situation that has been given in a case study.
No.
This concept of TCP itself dissuades creativity. Because when a person wants you to ask a question or probably be a little more creative, you will dissuade him by saying that's creative. That is right.
I would agree to your statement that we are to give our opinions about certain things and we are to ask questions. That's a very good thing. But then why time constraint? Always.
Time constraint in this college, right?
Yeah.
So I guess I addressed in the last question that there is an issue over here. I agree. But in the other point of view,
But then again, doesn't that affect the ability to think for what they are actually making us think?
Okay, I'll be very much clear about this thing. Me and Nilesh had a talked about this exact same thing that you're talking about, timing issues. That we about a PPT, we are like bragging like anything. Not bragging, just reality actually. But the point is, we as a team concluded that definitely time is a foundation, and and there is a lot of scope for improvement. We cannot say this is the best. No, I'm not even saying that Howard's is the best. There's always a scope of improvement, and definitely. Okay, now I'm audible. Am I too loud?
Go ahead.
Okay. So even Howard's has some limitations. So you cannot actually consider, okay, if you're this is happening, this is the best thing. So there's a lot of scope of improvement. Definitely.
Okay, I think I need to make it very clear. Yes, time is a constraint for creativity, no doubt. But if you have to function as an organization, then time, that constraint has to be there. Right, because unless now, but how to utilize the time? You know, in fact, you know how ad agencies run. Sorry, say that.
Agree, but then now that you're getting ample opportunity. The process of getting here through all the things. So again, there have to be certain benchmarks to get to a certain place, right? It cannot be completely based on drawing and everything. You even listen. You do understand. It was not just written paper, right? There was an interview, and my interview was really creative. My questions were really innovative. They were not at all related to my subject. And even apart from that, even the group discussion, the topics were really different. That it gave you an opportunity to discuss whatever is on your mind, and that is what creativity is about. It's about using original ideas. So I'll say, even in getting into this college, you did use a certain amount of creativity, probably not what you are imagining, because again, a lot of people are restricted by thinking creativity is just art.
By the way, the college does provide you scope for creativity. Many of us do not even utilize that, right? You know, we have a lot of, you see that the amount of money we have allocated for your co-curricular activities, it runs into lakhs. Probably the, you know, student union budget is around close to 70 lakhs, because as when I was the student affairs chair a few years ago, I think it was 55 lakhs then. So that means we allocate this money, and it so happened, unfortunately, many of the clubs and other interest groups, you know, were not even able to utilize half of their budget. And that does not, you see, once you get over this term one, you would understand the system a lot better. You would be able to manage timing, time a little better way. And, you know, once you move to the second year, you know, you see that, you know, you really have a lot of time. Now, within that, you know, if you follow a passion, for example, Neeraj, I know you write poems, or say, and Nitish, you know, you are into all those activities, you know, and those of you are into those things, right? You know, it doesn't matter, you know, how much, you know, you are, you're tied up with many obligations, right? You know, just 10 minutes into that, you know, you'll be able to write something. You just need to create that atmosphere that, you know, I would have to train. So before you complain, I think, you know, it must start, you must begin somewhere. Pick up a guitar, learn something, and you don't have to go anywhere. There are many among you who could teach you. It's just requires of, you know, willingness to go that extra mile, and there are people who could do that. Okay. Now, next group. Thank you.